All right, welcome back to the channel. Surprise, surprise. Dillian White gets caught in another lie. This time about Deontay Wilder getting knocked out. Now, I knew it was a story because of something Deontay Wilder said 2 years ago. But now Jonathan Banks comes out, who was the trainer of Vladimir Klitchko at the time, and tells people that no, Deontay Wilder did not get knocked out by Vladimir Klitchko in sparring. But don't let that keep you guys from continuing to spread and believe any old stupid story that comes up about Deontay Wilder. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. Hey, if you're not subscribed, accept my invitation to subscribe, join the channel. Much love to everybody on the Patreon page and everybody out there who comes to the live streams Monday through Friday and OG Boxing Talk on Sunday with my co-hosts. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys really are what makes the channel go around. All right, man, this is going to be a day where I'm gonna make 2 videos about stuff that irritate me. And then I'll try to talk about some pleasant things related to boxing and what I hope is gonna take place in boxing in this year, 2020. But the first thing, the pet peeve of mine, I don't know if Dillian White in and of himself can be considered a pet peeve, but Dillian White he just makes stuff up, man. Dillian White is one of the more I don't understand what's going on with those guys over there in the UK. I don't get it. Why are you just making up stuff, man? You know, if you wanted to fight Deontay Wilder, you had an opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder as a voluntary, but you know, you just want to keep making up stuff, just telling stories, trying to make people look bad, and don't think that anybody's gonna actually research it or ask other people that were involved with it. So the latest story that Dillian White told was that he saw Deontay Wilder get knocked out by Vladimir Klitchko, and that he was laying on the floor, twitching, knocked out cold. Okay, now as I said, I knew that this wasn't the truth because Deontay Wilder had an interview that's actually up on 78 Sports TV's page from 2 years ago, where he addressed it when Johnny Nelson spread that rumor. And he said, knocked out cold, he said he sparred over 50 rounds with Vladimir Klitchko, and he more than held his own. And he was like, and just totally disregarded the idea that he was knocked out by Vladimir Klitchko. Now, what Jonathan Banks said is, yeah, he was knocked down, but he was not knocked out. Jonathan Banks said, because Jonathan Banks works with Crump, he was the trainer of Vladimir Klitchko at the end of Vladimir Klitschko's career, and he said that he got knocked down. Now, I know some of you guys, it might be difficult to you guys to understand the difference, or maybe it's difficult for Dillian White to know the difference between being knocked down and being knocked out. Those are 2 different things. And it's getting knocked down and getting knocked out, twitching, man, it's absolutely ridiculous that this guy would just run off at the mouth making stuff up. But what tickles me more than the fact that this guy would make stuff up is that you would even believe anything that Dillian White says to begin with. Dillian White has like 0 credibility. Dillian White has been making up stories, and first of all, he's a cheater. So the guy gets in there, tests positive for D-ball, and gets a pass. This is his second performance-enhancing drug test. This is a second performance-enhancing drug test that the dude failed. So I do believe he received a 2-year suspension previously. So if you're dishonest in one thing, why would I be surprised that you're dishonest in something else? If you're gonna take performance-enhancing drugs and try to cheat people and act like you are a better athlete than you actually are by cheating and trying to skip over and try to find a way to cheat somebody in the ring, then why wouldn't you lie outside of it? Lie in one thing, you lie in the other. But if you say, hey, Fanon, that's not a lie, and hey, he served his time, everybody, okay, whatever. How about lying about being a mandatory for 600 days? As of today, Dillian Whyte has been a mandatory for Deontay Wilder for 55 days. 12 days from the time that he had the Oscar Rivas fight until he was suspended because he failed his performance-enhancing drug test. And from there, about a little over a month and a half since Dillian Whyte, a month and a half since Dillian Whyte was excused for his performance-enhancing drug test. Not because his B sample came in, but because they just said, hey, we believe him. We'll accept his explanation. And they did it the day before he was going to fight anyway. So Eddie Hearn forced the hands of the same people that let him get over the first time and so he could go on ahead and fight. Okay, so first he actually tested for performance-enhancing drugs. Second lie, he talking about he's been a mandatory for 600 days when anybody can look up and say, hold on, man, it hasn't been 600 days. It hasn't been 600 days since Deontay Wilder fought Dominic Breazeale. And when Dominic Breazeale was the mandatory, that fight was in 2008. That fight was in 2019. If he fought a mandatory in 2019, a reasonable person could ask, hey man, is there 600 days in a year? Is it 600 days in a year? No, there's not. So since it was less than a year ago and he fought a mandatory, just common sense should tell you it's not been 600 days. But no, but hey, maybe it's a difference between being the mandatory and being the number one challenger for nine, and maybe he just doesn't know the difference or doesn't know how to count. He's not lying, he just made a mistake. Okay, so if testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs twice, one time, two times, if those don't count as lies, and him saying 600 days he was saying 600 days before he was even the mandatory, okay? He was saying 600 days before he had been mandatory for 600 days before he was ever the mandatory. And it's only 55 now, but if you don't count those three lies, okay, if you don't count those three lies and you don't count the maybe Deontay Wilder doesn't know whether or not he got knocked out, and maybe Jonathan Banks doesn't know whether or not he gets knocked out. I believe Dillian Whyte. So if you don't believe those four things, how about the fact that he's got a brother running around named Dean White saying it's his brother that isn't even actually related to him? The dude has just got lie after lie after lie after lie after lie just laid out, man. And the biggest lie of all for Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, is that he has any plans whatsoever on fighting Deontay Wilder. I don't believe Dillian Whyte has any plans whatsoever of getting into the ring with Deontay Wilder because he's already had multiple chances to do it and ducked out of doing it. Dominic Breazeale said, hey, we can clear up this mandatory issue. You can fight me, and the winner between you and I can fight Deontay Wilder. Dominic Breazeale gave him a chance to fight for the mandatory position. If he had fought Dominic Breazeale, like Dominic Breazeale offered him, then he would have fought Deontay Wilder last year. That's the one time he ducked out of it. The second time he ducked out of it was when Deontay Wilder said, I will fight, if you fight Luis Ortiz, then I will fight you as a voluntary. There's no need for that to have a mandatory conversation. I'll fight you as a voluntary. What did Dillian Whyte do? Dillian Whyte did not fight Luis Ortiz. So if you didn't take Dominic Breazeale up in his offer to become the mandatory, and you don't take Deontay Wilder's offer to become the voluntary if you beat Luis Ortiz, which you have to believe he would do because he wound up fighting Luis Ortiz twice. So there was that opportunity for Dillian Whyte, and he didn't take it. And then what's the third? There was the third one. The WBC mandated Dillian Whyte and Luis Ortiz to fight, and then that person would become the mandatory for Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte refused to do that when the WBC asked him. So not only is the dude lying about seeing Deontay Wilder knocked out cold, twitching on the floor, because Jonathan Banks said it didn't happen. He got knocked down. He did not get knocked out. Okay, so lie number 1, 2-year drug ban. Lie number 2, D-ball test, and by the way, got into the ring with gloves that had not been approved. Lie number 3 could include that as not lie number 4. Also, 600 days before he was ever a mandatory at all. Lie number 5 or 4, depending on how you keep the count. Okay, lie number 6, I got a brother named Dean. Oh man, get out of here with this Dillian White stuff, man. How you guys believe anything comes out of this clown's? The last lie is that he even wants to fight Deontay Wilder because he's already had multiple opportunities to do it. He didn't take it. He went the opposite way because he just wants to continue. In my opinion, it appears as if he just really wants to be an occasional main event fighter, undercard fighter, to keep his name out there enough where he can continue to earn big money. Because if you looked at the last time Dillian White fought, man, Dillian White ain't beating no Deontay Wilder. That is just going to be him getting concussed. Dillian White would probably not go a whole round with Deontay Wilder. He's just not that good. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out.